I can hear you. You live in Singapore?
Yes,
Yeah. So you were born there, raised there?
yes.
Okay. So how, because we're like on opposite sides of the time stream, because you're about to go to bed, right? It's like 9 or 9:30 or something like that there, 10,
10 p.m.
10 p.m. Yeah. And it's 8, it's 9 a.m. here. So we're like almost exactly opposite.
So you're in the US?
Yeah. Yeah. In Tennessee.
Nice.
So you compete in bikini, right? Over there? Okay. So how did you get into fitness? Like how did that all start for you?
Um, okay, wait, hang on. The video is really laggy.
Okay. No
Do you
worries.
feel like it's lagging? Hang, just a second.
Hmm.
Just a minute.
No worries. Take your time. I'm surprised you wanted to do it so late.
Yeah. Um, okay. Okay.
Okay.
You know,
Anyways, so
my
it's
school hours are crazy. So
Hey,
in
what?
Singapore, my I said my school hours are crazy.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's why, like, so what are your hours are like?
So I start at 9 a.m. and then
Mhm.
I end like yesterday I ended at 10 p.m.
That's a long day.
Yeah, so that's what happens in Singapore. Like we
So,
get shoved in school for like hours.
so what do you go to school for?
Musical theater.
Musical theater. So what do you like? What is? How do you apply that in your life? Like once you graduate, how would you apply that?
So I graduate in about a month actually.
Hmm.
Um, and basically we study to be performers.
Okay.
Yeah, or
Like
playwrights or directors. It's
I
really
see.
up to us what we want to do.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. So thanks. First of all, I mean, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it. We had some trouble, but getting together, but we finally got together, so that's good. Score. Hey, I mean, I think it's amazing that you can actually talk to somebody, now across the world, and in just a matter of moments. Not that long ago you couldn't do that. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, how old are you?
I'm 25.
Oh, you're 25. You look a lot younger than 25. That's why I
I,
was wondering.
I get that a lot.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So back to like my question prior, was that you're in bikini competitor. Saw your Instagram page. You're very into that. How did you get into fitness?
Um, I've always been a rather athletic person. So, but how I got into bodybuilding was I think all women go through this, like they experience some kind of body dysmorphia growing up. And you try to find ways to overcome it. So what I did was I first got qualifications to be a yoga instructor.
Hmm.
And then I realized that that wasn't helping me achieve the body that I wanted. So then I started doing, have you heard of like insanity?
I mean, no, but is it just from the name? Does it sounds like maybe it's some kind of CrossFit type of
Yeah, it was
workouts?
basically an online 45-minute HIIT program that you do
Hmm.
every day.
I see.
So I was doing that religiously, and I st- and I still wasn't getting the results. So one day I was so mad about it. I was just like ranting on Facebook. I was like, I can't get the body that I want. I'm so frustrated. And then a friend of mine who's actually a bodybuilder,
Hmm.
he he hooked me up with my first personal trainer.
Okay.
And that was 3 years ago, and I never stopped.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say you weren't achieving the body that you wanted, were you trying to put on muscle and that's what you were lacking, or what kind of body were you like trying to achieve? What was in your mind that you wanted to look like?
I mean, we all want to look perfect, right? But what is perfect? I don't think I've actually really discovered that even now. I just wanted curves. I wanted to be lean. So so when I first started bodybuilding, it wasn't really like the aesthetic kind of bodybuilding. I was doing strongman. I know, right? Like why? Yeah.
What made you do that?
My
Just.
coach my coach was strong woman.
Hmm.
So when I first started training with her, the intention was to just be smaller. Because in Asia, the standard of beauty is the smaller you are, the more beautiful it is.
Hmm.
So everybody wants to be like super small here. But then when I started lifting, because my coach was so passionate about strongman, I just followed her everywhere. And then I got into competing in strongman. And then I fell in love with competing in general. So then she asked me, like, do you think you'd be interested in going into like the aesthetic side of bodybuilding? So I
Hmm.
was like, yeah, let's try, you know. And then I tried it once and then I competed again and again and again.
So when you were doing the strongman, strong woman, did you win anything?
I did. So I competed in this competition called Show of Strength. So they have it in Singapore every year in September. And so my coach hangs out with all the strong people. So they organize the events, right? Um, and that was where I first competed I think that was it, in Show of Strength. And I did log press and everything, and I
Log
was so
press.
I was so impressed with
How
myself.
how big were these logs?
So my body weight at that time was 50 kg,
Hmm.
and I was able to press 55 above my head with the log.
Oh wow. Okay.
But
So more than your
I,
body weight.
yeah, they tried to make me do 60, but I couldn't get it up. So
But I mean, that's pretty impressive. So then you decided, hey, I'm gonna go into, the aesthetic part of like bodybuilding, as you said, not the strongman. So when was your first competition?
ooh,
Do you remember?
I
How long
think
uh, how long have
I
you
think
been competing now?
17.
Say that again. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
2017 was my first
2017.
competition.
So you've
Yeah.
been competing a few years. How many have you done up to now?
Cool.
4 of them. Do you have another one in mind coming up?
No, not at the
No.
moment because so I currently hold my national title.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so I hold the national title here in Singapore for 2019.
Hmm.
And my my coach feels like I have the genetics to go really far in bikini.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know if having the best bikini body, like if going to Olympia and having that kind of physique is the physique that I'm looking for.
Okay. So what are you trying to say? Are you trying to go put more muscle on? Are you trying to do like figure? Is that what you're looking at? Or
No, the thing is I don't want that much muscle.
you don't want? So you think you have too much muscle?
Um, okay, so my latest competition was in August, so sorry, in October 2019,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And so it's been about 4 months now. And I was significantly bigger after after the show. Like I looked so hard and everything, and I was just like, I don't know if I like this because
See,
it was the leanest and the most muscular I've ever been.
see, it's that Asian cultural, stigma coming through as far as being smaller and not as much muscle is prettier
Yeah.
in you. Um,
I have to show you something.
go ahead.
So when I did my shoot for um my school, because we did a shoot for what do you call that? It's like your pictures that they market you by in
Okay.
for theater. And
Okay.
I wore a sleeveless shirt and I was ripped.
So did it? What did they say? Anybody
They were
say
like,
anything?
you are gonna get typecast. And I was like,
You're going to be in action movies, like with.
like a stunt actress,
Yeah,
you know?
there you go.
Yeah. I have to show this to you, but I'll have to find it. You have to give me a minute.
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, that's so funny that like that you came in there with a sleeveless shirt on. Were you the only one with a sleeveless shirt on?
No, all the girls like have sleeveless
Oh,
shirts.
okay, it's a standard.
Yeah, we had to come in with um like a like a whole set of outfits,
Hmm.
you know?
So you change into different ones, and then they
Yeah.
take pictures and so forth.
Yeah, so they were like, please wear a sleeved shirt. And I was like, oh my God.
So you got too muscular for your own look. But that's interesting that you're talking about the muscularity being in bikini. Most people wouldn't consider that being like overly muscular. But if you look at some of like the pros in bikini, they're getting harder and bigger as the years go on.
Exactly.
It's like they're starting to borderline figure competitors. Some of those bikini.
Like Elisa Pacini,
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, the
she's
champ, Olympia
she's so
champ.
big now.
Yeah, she's much bigger, yeah, than she used to be. She has a lot
Yeah,
of muscle. Yeah, I think that's a tendency in the competitive fitness world. It's like it's always to be bigger, even when they start kind of small over the years. Like everybody tends to get bigger and bigger, and then they have to realign the divisions. It's like, they took away women's bodybuilding for a while because they got so big, and then they put
yeah.
in physique. Now the physique girls are getting just as big as the female bodybuilders, so it's like it's just that never ending,
Bodybuilding back.
say what.
And then they put the category back.
Yeah, they put it back. Well, they sold the Olympia. Like AMI sold it to the gentleman that runs the Phoenix pro shows. I don't know if you're aware of that, but he's very involved in like women's bodybuilding, and he loves it. That's why he put it back. If he
Yeah,
didn't buy it, I don't think they would have came back. But
right.
because really think about how many regular people, and then even not even just regular people, but how many even people in fitness really, let me put it this way, care to see a woman that big and look like that. Not too many. So, you
I
know.
mean, at the end of the day, for me, I I love being in the gym.
Hmm.
That's the most important thing, like having a healthy lifestyle, making sure that I'm healthy, mentally and physically.
Sure.
And I find that going to the gym gives me so much joy, but going to the gym, the amount that I did to achieve the competitor's physique, it it's just it wasn't healthy for me mentally.
Okay. So you were struggling with like what, dieting and all that? Is
No,
that?
no, no, no. I don't have an issue with dieting.
Hmm.
It's I was training so hard. I put my heart and soul into the last competition that I did.
Well, I mean, it must have worked, right?
Yeah, but I've never pushed myself that hard ever. And I think that I'm a little, to be very honest with you.
I understand. I understand. So, but you hold the title. So, do you think you're gonna? So, are you saying you're relinquishing that for next year? You're not gonna try to win it again?
I want to, but my coach thinks that um, I I should try a competition that challenges me more because he says genetically I mean you've seen the pictures, right? Like I do
Yeah, I have.
very hard and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So,
genetically it's like that. So
right. So you're kind of in this space where you're kind of burned out, but you feel like you could do well if if you went into a competition.
I think the off season is really, really important. And I've already spent 4 months of my off season doing whatever I like. So,
So yeah, I mean that could be a problem. That definitely could be a problem.
yeah, I think that if you want to compete, so before I did the nationals in 2019, we started preparing me mentally like a year and a half before that.
Hmm.
So we
That's
decided that I was going to do the nationals a year and a half before. And then we started dieting up
yeah.
from from a year out.
Mhm. So so when you compete, are you taking in more food than you normally do or less food? Like when you like are you one of those people that burn calories very fast and you have to consume food, at a higher level when you're competing? Are you reducing food?
So um, we we brought my carbs up really high in the well for me it's really
Right.
high. To all you big boys, it's not high at all. Um, yeah, to me, so he brought it up really high, and then he brought it down for the show.
Hmm.
But I was able to keep carbs in right to the end.
Hmm. So
So
what are your carbs? What do you use for carbs?
Um, my coach believes in um, getting all my nutrients from whole foods. So we never use and like there are so many people who use cereal and I just don't get it.
Use what?
Cereal.
Oh, cereal? Yeah, that's like processed. That's all it is sugar.
Yeah.
But I mean, the reason that they do it is because they want to. It's because of taste sugary. That's why.
Yeah. But
How?
my coach is super particular about
Mhm.
eating whole foods because he factors in all the micronutrients and he says it's good for your body. So we usually get our carb sources are brown rice, sweet potato, and yeah, that's it.
You're
That's
like
it.
that's all you. That's all you eat. So how is it? How is the like bodybuilding and fitness scene in Singapore? Is it kind of popular? Not really.
So again, for the ladies, it's not as popular because women here like to be small,
Mm.
but it's it's so nice to see that the women that are competing are bringing a better standard every year.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
people that are already in the industry, the women that are already in the
I'm
industry,
better.
they are like bringing their A game every time.
Yeah. I mean, lately we've seen a lot of good bodybuilders come out of primarily like what I'm thinking of as men, but I'm sure there's women too that come out of Asia. Like, and it's becoming like it seems like it's becoming more and more that we're getting a lot of pros, out of Asia. I mean, your English is like incredible. I mean, is that common for people in Singapore to speak English that well?
Um, Not really.
No. So
I
how do you know English so well?
because I'm mixed blood, so a lot of there's a very large the large majority of people in Singapore are Chinese.
Hmm.
So I I don't think you've ever heard of this term. We use a lot of Singlish, so Singaporean English. So that's
I've never heard of it, but I know from other countries they sometimes do similar things where they're like some like African lands and stuff where they do like mixture of like English in their own language or French in their own language, and they have this like melting kind of language. So is it similar to that?
it is, it is. Like if, for example, I were to switch on my Singlish for you right now, then I'll be talking to you like this lah. You know what I mean?
It almost reminds me of Thai. Like that sound almost reminds me of like how Thai people speak, like a little bit. But I don't know. I'm coming from like a person that's never been to Asia, so you know. But well, yeah. Do you guys? So, primarily it's Chinese. So is Mandarin is primarily what's spoken in Singapore, or
No, it's English actually.
oh, so English is the primary language.
Yeah,
Okay.
but in terms of why my English is so clear, I think it's because of
Mm.
my school.
Mm. Your school.
They- yeah, they place a very hard, like an emphasis on speaking very clearly because as a theater student, you
Mm.
can't do theater if you don't speak
Right.
clearly.
You almost have a tinge of like a British kind of sound to you, you know? So that's really cool. That's really interesting. You said that you're I guess you're biracial, right? So what do your bloodline come from? Like your
So I'm
parents?
I'm not biracial. I have like I'm a mix of six different.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So my name is Nicole Genevieve Periera Clarke. So
Right.
Periera is Portuguese,
Hmm.
right? And then
Okay.
Clarke is English. And then I have Chinese and Indian blood
Hmm.
and a
Okay.
little bit of Burmese.
Okay.
And I'm not quite sure what the last one is. I think it's Hakka, but I know Hakka is a dialect, so I need to know what those people are.
You should do one of those those tests that they do like with what is it like 23 and Me or something like that where you swab your cheek and then like you send it off to them and they tell you like which side of the world or like what countries you come from and things of that nature. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you can go online. I'll send you a link and it's like it's interesting. I've never done it, but I'm pretty confident on where I come from. So I was actually originally I was originally born in Russia, in Ukraine. So before I moved to the United States, so like I kind of already know like my bloodline, but I'm sure there's things I don't know. So, you know, it's always interesting to find out. So, when I saw your name at first and that Clark at the end, I thought you were maybe married, like, and that's why your English is so good. I was like, well, maybe you're married to an American, and that's why your English is so good.
No, I'm
Yeah.
single girl.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. So, what do your parents think about you competing and everything like that? Especially with, like you said, the norm for women is to be smaller.
My parents are very, very supportive. They support everything that I do.
Good.
I'm who goes into theater for school even?
Is that not common there?
No, it's not. It's
Hmm.
not. In Asia, again, if you're not like a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, if you're doing something like
Creative.
unusual or
Yeah.
creative, right? It's like, why are you doing that? You're not gonna make any money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
You
no, so what pushed you to do that then? I mean, if that's if such a huge trend not to go into those things, what made you, make the dive to do that?
know. I don't know. I fell in love with theater from the time I was 5. So I've been doing theater for about 20 years now.
That's a long time.
Yeah, so I've been doing theater for 20 years and my love for it doesn't die.
So, are you actively like? looking for like roles or in plays and things of that nature? Like, how does that work? Like, are you just in school? You're just
Now
trying to get through school?
just in school,
Hmm.
but there was a really but because I competed last year, right? I actually missed two modules, which is
Mm,
what they call performance projects. So I'm doing like a makeup for that module.
I see.
Uh, and I actually wrote my own script,
Hmm.
and it was about body dysmorphia.
Okay.
So I tie a little bit of theater to body image to bodybuilding to
Hmm. Do you think so? I mean, body dysmorphia is like is an issue all across the globe, but do you think that's like a huge thing in Asia?
no, I think it's a huge thing everywhere.
Everywhere? You think
I,
it's about equal everywhere?
yeah, I think even like a lot of people think it's something that happens with women only, but I think it happens with men as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know for a fact it happens with men, and it's one of those things where um, you you think like you might look really good. You might look like the top 1% of anybody that you ever see, but in your mind, you don't, and that's kind of like the issue. And then you keep that mental anguish,
yeah,
inside. It's like it's really a big problem, especially like I think it's big in the fitness world too, which is surprising because though those are probably the best physically fit people in the world, and we don't make up a large percentage. Most people don't even work out. But that's kind of how it is. In Singapore. Is it do most people do something physical? Like, do they work out? Do they um like, I know not everybody like bodybuilds or things of that nature, but is it common for kids to be involved in sports, things of that nature?
so for the first 10 years of our education, so through primary school and secondary school, it is compulsory to take physical education.
Hmm. Okay.
So they make you do it like twice a week. So you either play ball games or they make you run or they depending on what the PE teacher
Hmm.
gives you that day. And then whatever you do after those school years is really up to you in terms of how fit you want to be.
Hmm.
But I think that the culture here, everyone's very business oriented and very money oriented.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all people who do work out on a regular basis, but then in terms of everybody else, it's really what their priorities are.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, there for a while, when you think of Singapore and you're in the West, like anywhere where you think of Asia, you don't think of like modern places. Like, most people do not think of like high level modern places. But if anybody ever does any research or looks at pictures or videos of Singapore, it's very modern, right? Correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like it's
it's one
incredible.
of the
Like,
most, like developed countries in the world, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, that's what I read. Yeah, it's incredible. And I heard that it kind of happened really within the last like 50 years. It wasn't really, it's not
Yeah,
like, so a lot of development, so a lot of businesses and things come from overseas, right, to develop in Singapore and things of that nature.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's neat. So are there like a lot of gyms there?
There are actually. So for gyms, there's Anytime Fitness, there's Fitness Plus, there's Pure Fitness, there's Virgin Active, there's True Fit. There's so many.
Oh, I'm
There's,
surprised. I didn't know there was that many. And you've got Planet Fitness, of course. That's
I don't know if they still have that here though.
no Planet Fitness. I thought you just mentioned it.
No, my mom used to go to Planet Fitness, but not anymore. I
Okay.
think it's closed, or is that California Fitness? I have no idea. There's just so many now.
Yeah. How do you find time to train like with that kind of hectic of a school schedule?
Sometimes I ask myself that question as well. But if you want it, you will do it, you
Hmm.
know? And like nothing, it's funny, right? Because after I started bodybuilding and having a greater awareness of my own body, like my ability to perform, my confidence in myself, everything got better. My discipline, my I stopped drinking altogether just because it didn't make my body feel good.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it's not because like I'm suffering or anything and therefore,
Right.
don't wanna, yeah, but like it makes me feel so good that I want to keep doing it.
Sure.
Even if I'm busy,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
no, I need to have my me time in the gym.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned that about like, well, it makes your body feel better. I was talking to someone at work and they were like, oh, why don't you treat yourself to whatever it was? I can't remember what it was, almost making it seem like that I was depriving myself, and I would try to explain to them, I'm not depriving myself. Like, I enjoy like eating well, so it's not a matter of, oh, I'm suffering. It's like, no, I enjoy eating well. That's like, that is what I enjoy. So, sometimes people don't understand that.
He just doesn't know it yet.
Yeah, no, some people never will.
I know, right? Don't you think that's so sad?
Yeah, I do. I do. And I'm gonna have a podcast, an episode coming up later today that I'm gonna record, and we're going to talk about time management, and people often tell it like, say like, oh, well, I don't have the time. I don't have the time. But it's like, but you have the time to do everything else that's not important. You have the time to sit on the couch, watch TV for 2, 3 hours. You have time to, do a bunch of other stuff that's not that important. Take an hour out of your day, go train, so, but it's a mental thing, I think, too. Part of that is mentally getting yourself up and going.
Yeah.
I would.
Honestly, right. I think that so a lot of people say they need to watch TV, have their downtime and all that. Honestly, I believe that's really important.
Mhm.
So, okay, this is something I think I discovered along the way in my journey of bodybuilding. It's like
Mhm.
I realized that I'm the kind of person I need a lot of downtime because when I do something, it's like 200%. I
Mm.
don't half-ass anything,
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
um, so I think downtime, like when people say that they need their downtime, they need that time in front of the TV, I wouldn't like dismiss it completely.
Mhm.
But I think that it's really important to schedule your life in a way that allows you to achieve your maximum potential. And that includes taking care of your body, I think,
Sure. Sure.
as well as your mind. You can't just like take care of like, oh, all the rest, and then like neglect, taking care of your physical health.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
I I do. I understand completely what you're talking about. I think a big part of that also is for some people is organization. Like I'm huge in organizing. Like I'll have stuff written down and for the next day of things I need to do and when I need to do them and it messes me up if I don't like if something gets out of whack. So I think sometimes when people don't organize or aren't very organized, like time can get away from them, and then they look around, they look at the clock and, oh, well, 4 or 5 hours have gone by, already. Day's almost over. So I think it's important to also keep an eye on that clock too, so to speak. Are you big on organizing or are you kind of just fly by the seat of your pants? I don't know. Do you understand that expression?
No, what is that? What expression is? Can you say that again?
Fly by the seat of your pants.
What
It
is
basically
that?
So I'm not American, as I told you, but I hear this often. I've heard it for years, and what it means is that you just like go with the flow, like there's no organization involved. You just do like whatever whatever comes up, whatever you feel like.
I'm gonna put this in my
Oh yeah,
yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
my
definitely
book.
add that. Yeah, definitely add that to your Rolodex of English terms. Yeah.
You know, my teacher actually has this really funny phrase when someone needs some encouragement, he's like, "You need a little bit of ginger up your ass."
I will say I've never heard that before, but that might be
What is it? Fly by the seat of your pants.
that might what he's saying. Maybe it's a British thing, like because the British people have a different way of speaking
Oh
too.
yes, he
So
is. He is English.
okay, so they have their own phrases and things of that nature. Like in America, they have their own, and uh, fly by the seat of your pants. Get that, write that down.
It's in there. It's in
It's
there.
in there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good. You should use it like with him next time you go to class. See what he thinks.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll get it.
He'll be like, "You've been talking to somebody from the United States, haven't you?"
Oh no, I might get in trouble.
Maybe, yeah, maybe you shouldn't. You like fail the class or something. Oh, that's funny. So, but yeah, so you know, we kind of veered off different topics and things like that. So, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. So right now you're kind of just seeing what's going to happen for next year.
Hmm, in terms of bodybuilding,
Yeah, in terms of fitness. Yeah.
well, I'll never give up fitness ever. I'll always keep going to the gym,
Uh,
always keep exercising. That will never stop. But in terms of competing, I think I will do it again. I just don't know when yet.
I see. I
I
see.
think it's very important to be mentally ready for something. Otherwise, you won't do it well, you
Yeah.
know.
Do you do anything for like recovery as far as like um the mental side of it? Do you like read? Do you do you do anything like to help your mental state as far as like recovering from like a hard prep like that like you had before? Or you just kind of relax and just try to
I'm just being very patient with myself
Mhm.
more than anything. Um, because I wanted really badly to reverse out of prep, but
Mhm.
that failed. So I mean, if you're always so disappointed with yourself and always giving yourself a really hard time, you're never gonna enjoy the process.
Mhm.
So I think like I let myself go a little, like not let myself go, but like I let go of the ringings a little bit.
Yeah.
And I would eat what I want, but then I'll go back to my diet. So just depending on how I feel, like I'm really going based on how I feel right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I've given myself a break from the gym for about 3 weeks,
Mhm.
and like I'm starting to feel like
Like
that
the urge, yeah, to go
urge
back.
back. And yeah, I'm like getting myself ready to like hit the gym hard again once school gives me time.
Mhm. Mhm.
Once I finish
Yeah,
my
well,
sorry,
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
once school stops being like 13 hours long, you know, I think I it's not that I don't have time to go to the gym, but I've shifted gears so that it gives my mind a rest from the gym.
Sure.
You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, 13 hours at school and doing random podcasts in the middle of the night, that's that'll keep you busy. But anyways, but it was great talking to you. I think we had a good time. We already did like almost 40 minutes, so I think it's time. Yeah, I think it's time for you to get some sleep. But I appreciate your time and thanks again. I'll let you know when everything is up, and I'll tag you on it and everything, so you'll see it when it comes up. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Hey, if anybody else wants to like reach out to you as far as like anything with regard to like maybe more podcasts or have you like on some or anything having to do with theater, what's the best way to like reach out to you? Is it Instagram, email?
Yeah, Instagram. I'm very
Yes.
responsive on
Okay,
Instagram.
okay, yeah. So can you tell people like what your Instagram name is so they'll have an opportunity to
It's Nicole GDPC.
all your names, all your like family names, is that what the initials are?
It's all of it.
I'm glad you only have four. Like, there's only so many letters you can put on that Instagram name, so I'm pretty sure there's a limit.
It's funny because, like, sometimes you put your name and then you put it exactly like how your name is. Like, for me, it's GDPC,
Uh-huh.
right? And then you enter it, and it's like, oh, somebody's already taken that name. It's like,
Oh yeah,
who
yeah.
has my name?
And especially if your name is not like common and like, or like if you've got like you said, all those letters, like who would who would have that name? Like, but I guess there's another Nicole with like four family names out there. All right, well, thanks again. You have a good night, okay? Take care.
Okay. Thank
Bye bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.